And good morning, good evening to everyone. Welcome to today's show of Hammer the Point. Today's host, me, RB, every day on MTV. Okay. With me next to is my wingman over there, Charlie. How are we doing this evening?
When did you become like poet laureate? What was that? Why have you been dropping mad bars out of nowhere? What's going on here? I'm confused.
Again.
Listen, I enjoyed it. Hello, are you all right? Hello, good evening, all of that. Whatever you chart, I don't know. I can't rhyme. I'm sorry. I tried, but
Hey, thank you for being here, Charlie. Moving on swiftly, Dan Hardy. Are you any related to Jeff or Matt?
No. I just have 2 boys that get called Jeff and Matt all the time.
I hope they play wrestling together. Elbow drops from the top rope. Brilliant. We've also got in the room Cameron. How you doing, Cameron?
Good, mate. How you doing?
Good. Zach is in the building. We love Zach. He has the most.
And hang on, I'm in my SpongeBob SquarePants soccer jersey.
Love it. And of course, last but not least, Reese. That even rhymed as well, Charlie. What do you reckon? How you doing, Reese? Good? Is Reese frozen?
Yeah, mate. Good. Just enjoying being two games unbeaten for once.
That is a nice feeling. Well, I see some people in the chat. Tom, evening Tom, Neil, down under, as always, 9 a.m. And my Southampton mate Baz is in the room, so give him as much grief as you possibly can. Oh, please. Thank you. Yes, I am back in the club. The bar is reopened this week. Fantastic. Maybe locked down in 2 more weeks. We'll see how it goes. Right, today's show is all about the substitutions to start off with. I have had enough with Moyes and his substitutions. So let's talk about them. Let's go through it, boys. Let's start with the first game. I want to talk to you guys about the first game against Wolves and his use of substitutions and why I think the whole time that we've been back, he's only ever got it right once. But what's your opinion? So, Charlie, first game against Wolves, we brought on Lanzini and Yarmolenko. Do you think they were the right moves at the right time for that game?
No, because bringing on Lanzini is never a good idea. Not at the moment, anyway. And then the more important one for me is like Ngakia for Fredericks, which in hindsight, obviously he was leaving, so it is what it is. But Fredericks came on and then was in the wrong position for the second goal, and just generally isn't great. So it's just a weird. It's weird. And also the Yarmolenko and Fredericks thing happening at 81 minutes when you're already losing. Like, what's Ryan Fredericks going to do to get you back in the game? Like, it's not that complicated, man.
Yeah, and not just that, but you could see Ngakia when he got subbed off, he weren't happy about it, and I think that was probably the last stick in the straw to say to him, "Look, I'm out of here. You're not treating me." Dan, what do you think? What do you think of our substitutions for against Wolves? Do you think they have an impact on the game?
I think if you had the mindset that you're selling Ngakia, you shouldn't have started Ngakia. It's very hard to make a defensive substitution, which again didn't make sense. We're losing the game 1-0, and bringing a defender on is not doing anything. My issue with him, and it's not just for the Wolves game, it's for all of them. We have 5 substitutions, and he only seems to use 2. We're going to tire out. He's not. I mean, Antonio's played every minute of every game since we've come back. He's not utilizing his options. I don't necessarily think subs are bad, but
yeah, totally agree.
Make more of them.
Yeah, you've got 5 substitution there. And this is one of the points I'm going to be bringing as we go through each game. Reese, how do you think the subs impacted the game, if any, against Wolves? Reese, you still there, buddy?
Hello, Reese.
I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, I think with them substitutions against Wolves, I think the only one I really have a problem with is why Fredericks comes on the 81st minute. If you feel like Ngaki is struggling, you sub him off at half time, not when I think we was 2-0 down then. But I think the reason why Moyes doesn't use most of his substitutions is because he doesn't have enough trust in all the players on the bench, and I think that's the main reason for that.
Well, yeah, I can understand him bringing on Lanzini, as you said. I can understand him bringing on Yarmolenko. It gave him an extra 10, 20 minutes between them. So, that's something. But the Fredericks and then Ngaki one was completely left field. Zach, what do you think? Hammer the point, as the show is called.
So I think it was too little too late. I mean, he made one substitution in the 67th minute, and then he made 2 more substitutions in the 81st. It was by the 81st minute, we were already down 1-0. We should have made a sub in the 55th minute, and then we should have made a sub in the 67th, and then we should have made another sub in the 81st minute. I think if we made a sub in the 55th minute, this game would have the outcome of this game would have changed. We probably would have walked away with maybe a goal, or just only a loss by 1, or even, who knows, maybe even a tie. But it just would not have been the way that it was, and a lot of it had to do with, I think, fatigue, with not knowing how everyone's body was after quarantine and whatnot, and just trying to get a feel for the players again, because it's a whole new manager and a whole new system. And as we're going to see later, as we go forward, Moyes is making better decisions, but still not great ones.
Yeah. Cameron, what's your views?
For me, I think the one I probably have the most problem with would actually be the Lanzini for Anderson. Because, I mean, Lanzini, very technically good. He's not the fastest. And now you have Cresswell and Lanzini going up against Adama Traore, the fastest, one of the most beastly players in the game right now as far as speed and physicality. And they're both small dudes. At least Anderson, stats-wise, puts in the tackles, tracks back defensively, and actually does a bit of a job on defense. You can't say the same thing for Lanzini. So that just tactically, there's that one guy that absolutely destroys us every game. Let's play right into it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just doesn't make sense. It's tactically inept.
Yeah. And again, he never used 2 other substitutions that he's got. He only used 3. So, there is a point to Moyes and his lack of impacting of the game. That's the Wolves game. Moving on, again, a 2-0 loss for West Ham. 2-0 loss against Spurs. Again, he only uses 2 substitutions. Philip Anderson for Noble and Lanzini for Fornals. Charlie, what do you think? He's got 5 options of substitutions, and yet he brings on just 2 players on the 71 minute. And let's be honest, they both, Anderson and Lanzini, didn't seem interested. They were laughing and stuff like that. What do you reckon?
With the first game, with the Wolves one, I looked at it and I was annoyed by it, because it was like, okay, well, what's happened here is you failed and they've changed tactics and you've still not done anything to change the game significantly. But I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, learn your lesson from this. And this is kind of the problem for me, is I look at the Spurs thing and he's done the same thing again and he's not learned his lesson. A, they were too late, and B, they weren't changing the tactics sufficiently. Like, brother, if you're not going to work, if it's not working, then change it up, for Christ's sake. Suffering succotash, just do something. Don't just stand there like a garden gnome and don't change nothing, just staring with a smiling. No, do something. If the tactics aren't working, what makes you think doing a like-for-like substitution like Fornals or Lanzini for Lanzini is going to change anything? Because it's like for like. You're not doing anything, and Lanzini's not you can't just drop him in and expect him to light the game on fire like he's been doing, because that's not what he's been doing. It's just it's straw that broke the camel's back in a sense. Whereas the first one I was really frustrated, but I thought, right, just learn from this. And in the second one, he just didn't learn from it.
Yeah. Dan, what do you think? do you think he made the right substitutions? Do you think he made enough substitutions? When you look at Mourinho, who's a tactical genius, let's be honest, he is. You can see the substitutions on the 72-minute and the substitutions on the 86-minute just null and void whatever we was trying to do. What do you think?
He made. The way I look at it is you've got three pods for 5 subs. He's brought on 2 players that don't seem to want to play. Felipe Anderson, I would put nowhere near the lineup again this season. He's just using us as a stepping stone and not doing much. The difference between Mourinho and Moyes is Mourinho knows how to win games and knows how to work with tactics. Moyes settles for what he sets up with, and he does like for like, and that's a big problem. Lanzini and Fornals, I look at as similar players. They're not going to track back. We were, I think, by the 71st, I can't recall if we were 1-0 down or 2-0 down by the time he made the subs. But you don't wait until an hour and 10 minutes into a game to make subs. If you're losing, you understand the problem, realize why you're losing, you try and change it. He didn't do that against Tottenham. He didn't learn from what he didn't do against Wolves. He's done the same thing against Wolves. Same thing at Tottenham they did at Wolves. It didn't work.
Yeah, totally agree that, and we move on to the next topic, which is like, is he actually using the right substitution? Why is he not giving some of the players that haven't had game time? He brought on Yarmolenko, gave him 10 minutes last season, but he hasn't brought him on again this one. Wilshere's not even anywhere near getting minutes on the pitch at this stage. Reece, what do you think?
That's terrible.
I think when you look at the players he doesn't use, I think one is because with I think players like Ajeti, he doesn't trust them enough. And then second of all, I don't think they suit his system. And Moyes is a stubborn manager. If you don't suit my system, if you don't suit the way I want to play, I won't play you. And looking at the substitutions against Spurs, referring back to that, what really wound me up about that was I could tell Noble was knackered by half time. Why not change it then and bring Lanzini or Anderson on then so they can grow into the game instead of putting them under pressure where they haven't got enough confidence in the 71st minute and trying to rush them into it.
Yeah, totally agree. And, everyone, man and his dog, every West Ham fan can see that Noble was knackered. He needed a rest. He's played one game against Wolves for 90 minutes. He's played 45 minutes in such a close perimeter of time. It's a lot for this old boy to do. And I can say that because I'm older than him. So, Zach, what do you reckon?
It was just him being lazy, him not knowing where everyone was physically after quarantine. And it showed that Moyes didn't know what he was doing and didn't know the type of what players he was dealing with. And most of the team looked tired that played in the game against Wolves, and especially Noble. Noble was just dragging, and it was kind of sad to watch him just be out there for as long as he was and not be taken off earlier. Considering the fact that we have a deep-ish bench, we have guys that can come in and fail his role very easily, or even change formation, so we don't have to deal with a Noble type player and just move Soucek over or move Rice into that spot. But it's confusing to me to see this happened back-to-back games, and thankfully it changed. But still, it's not the way to go forward. And why aren't we using all 5 subs? Why the fuck aren't we using all 5 subs? We have them. Use them. Damn it. We're not gonna have 5 subs next season.
Yeah, it's crazy why he's not using that many subs, and he's not even giving other people a chance to even get onto the pitch and make an impact. You've got the youth players there. Why not give Silva 5-10 minutes and Tony a rest at that point? Cameron, what do you reckon? Should he have given Ajeti, Silva, even Wilshere at this point some minutes on the pitch?
Yes, but I also think it needs to be more than 10 minutes. I was looking back to March and February matches with Arsenal and Brighton, and Arsenal, we didn't actually use any subs whatsoever until the 81st minute. It was Noble for Suchek at the 81st minute, Fornals for Anderson at the 87th minute, and Bowen for Snodgrass at the 90th minute. At that point, what's the point? Like, no, like expecting people to make an impact in 3 minutes, 0 minutes, however minutes is just absolutely asinine. And make subs early. You need people to get up to the tempo of the game. You need to give them time to make an impact. So, especially guys like Yarmolenko, he's not the fastest guy. He's a one-trick pony, but he's really goddamn good at that one trick, pulling it onto his left. So let him get up to the tempo of the game and let him make a difference, because as he's shown, he can do it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, Cameron. So moving on to a game we finally win. We get 3 points. Woo! No one expected this. No one was even dreaming of this. I didn't think. I thought Lampard's going to do us over and probably get us relegated. However, Moyes pulls it out of the bag. And this is the first time that I've actually gone, Moyes, every substitution, even Balwinner in the 93rd minute, every substitution was spot on. You know, he brought on Yarmolenko, he brought on Wilshere, and they made an impact to the game. You know, Charlie, what did you think of these substitutions against the mighty Chelsea that we beat?
I mean, I said it on the watch along that me and Tom do. Like, give the man a gargantuan applause. Like, it's a party in the bloody USA. Like, he actually did a thing. And it's like, not only did he do more subs, he did them at different times. So, you know, actually changing the game. And you look at someone like Wilshere, like, it's a bit of fresh air. Do you know what I mean? It's like an evening dip in the sea. Like, you want someone to come on who has a little bit of something different. And like the Yarmolenko for Bowen thing, although they are technically playing the same position and technically do sort of similar things, they want to put the ball on their left foot and they want to shoot. They do it in different ways. You know, they change the attack vector, which is this phrase I keep using now. It's kind of becoming my thing, and I'm just going to keep saying it, right? So like Bowen does the thing where he runs in behind, and then someone finds him with a through ball. Yarmolenko wants the ball to his feet, and then he's going to go for a shot. But that's two fundamentally different things that defenders have to deal with. And so even though it seems like a like for like on the face of it, it's not, because all of a sudden the Chelsea left back in that case, has to do something different. They're not tracking a runner anymore. They're having a guy stand up to him, and now all of a sudden that's taking him away. You can have Fredericks, who's right back in this case, overlapping and stuff. And oh, blimey, like Henri once said, you're actually doing something here. Like, Moyes deserves credit for this one because he got it right, and not just because we won, but because he actually changed what wasn't working. And the thing is it wasn't a complete change in tactics, but just that little bit can sometimes be the difference between drawing 2-2 and winning 3-2. And that's what he needs to stop being so stubborn and do more often.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's got to impact the game in different ways. Yeah, Dan, what do you think? He brought on only 3 substitutions. Do you think that was the right call?
Yeah, and this is the only game that we've been back that I've agreed that we didn't need to use all 5. It was a different type of match. We weren't in a losing position. Besides, you know, being down 1-0, it's a different outlook on the game. When you're losing the game and you're not making changes to change the outcome of a game, compared to if you're drawing a game and things are working, or you're winning a game and things are working. I understand the subs he did. Obviously, Yarmolenko came on and scored the goal. Also, I was a little bit disappointed that Bowen went off, because to me he's been the bright spark since he came, and thought maybe push him up top and take Antonio off, but it worked. So you can't knock it there. Balbuena obviously makes sense, just trying to close the game out. Maybe a little late, but it doesn't make a difference. We won the game. And for me, Wilshere, I think that's his only appearance since we've come back. If he's not fit, then he doesn't need to be on the bench. But if he is fit, he needs to get more minutes. And it was good to see him get 20, 25 minutes. And for me, he should be starting over players like Lanzini, who, I mean, Lanzini's just gone off the boil. Wilshere has a point to prove. He's a supporter of the team. And for me, I mean, he's a difference maker. The guy growing up was one of my favorite players. I mean, I admired him. So, yeah, I mean, I think he got spot on that game. You can't knock him for that at all.
Yeah, totally agree. And, I think when you see Lanzini, when you see Wilshere come on, you can see His head was looking around. He was looking to pass the ball. It was a different kind of tactics. You know, I thought he gave him 22 minutes, which is perfect at this stage. He should have brought him on before, gave him a little bit more time. But Reese, what do you think? You know, Wilshere, Yarmolenko made a massive impact on the game for us.
See, this was the one game where I thought Moyes got it right from start to finish. He executed a game plan before the match. If you double up in certain areas against them, if you dominate the midfield and you bully them as well, and you dominate them from set pieces, we'll win the match. And when things started to get better for Chelsea, he quickly changed it to make sure it went back into our favour. And I think one thing that's key in the substitutions, you see he leaves Balbuena till late on. In other games against Wolves, I think he'd bring Balbuena on early, rush the substitution on the 81st minute. But this game, because he knew we was in a winning position at 2-2 because we was dominating them, he just said, look, I'm going to wait. I can see a chance where we've scored. And then as soon as we score, he cleverly puts Balbuena on and sees out the game and wins it. And I think this is the one game where Moyes actually showed, you know, if you give me time and if you give me a bit of trust, I can change this around.
Yeah. Zach, what did you think of the game? Did you think he done this? Do you reckon he could have put any more subs on? What do you think?
Well, first of all, that the first goal that Souček scored should have counted. How the hell can you tell me that Antonio is in part of the play when he's literally down on his back? He can't get up. He can't move. What are you going to tell me? That he has a third arm somewhere that he can use? That made no sense to me whatsoever. His interview afterwards was great. It was as good as the game, and that was incredible. But from a substitution standpoint, I'm perfectly happy with what he did. I don't think there was anything else that he could have done to make the team better or make this a better game or even get the win. It was just incredible the way that it went down and the way that it happened, especially the last goal that Yarmo scored. Hell, if we could score more goals like that, I think we're going to be fine. And we may end up surprising everyone and get completely out of the relegation battle and maybe end up further up the table than what everyone expects if we get more odd man rushes going the other way.
Yeah, totally agree. And last but not least, Cameron, what did you think? Did you think the goal should stand, for instance, or do you think the subs worked in the right place?
I think unless Kepa is about 1.5 feet tall, that goal absolutely should have stood, especially considering after the fact they came back and said, Antonio was obstructing the view from an offside position. No. Just no.
Hang on. Who was the midget that played for the St. Louis Browns? His number was like 1/8, and he was told that if he swings at a pitch, that there was a sniper on the roof, and that would shoot him dead. Oh God, I'm forgetting his name. It's gonna bug me. But when you said it's 1.5 feet, that's all that I could think. I'm sorry.
I was going more with like the Muggsy Bogues type deal from the NBA, but
Muggsy Bogues is too damn tall.
But in general, I think Moyes actually did do a decent job on this one. Do I still think he should use 5 substitutes, especially when we have this is going to be the 3rd game in a 6-day stretch, if I remember correctly. We need to rest legs, especially Antonio, and especially given his past hamstring problems. You know what? We didn't score any late goals against Newcastle and everything. I know we're kind of coming up to that one and everything. And in this one, we go 1-up, get him off the pitch. He's not needed at that point. What we need is defenders and everything. And I absolutely agree with bringing on Balbuena, but maybe it should have been for Antonio instead of Fornals, because Fornals has been healthy all year for the most part. I can't remember any injuries.
So hang on. So the guy's name was Eddie Goodall. And here's a picture of him at the plate. He had a strike zone of about 6 inches. It was a gimmick. The game lasted. There was a 20-minute delay in the first pitch because he was the leadoff batter for the Browns, and the umpires were like, "He's on the roster. He has." And then he got a pinch run for, and that was the end of it. And then because it happened on a Sunday. League office was closed. Open on Monday. The league voided the contract, and they said they never should have played. Like, well, you should have been open on Sunday, you idiots. Anyways, this is why I love being on the shows. I just have way too much knowledge. Anyways,
we love it, Zach. Don't you worry.
But even if you're trying to take up time with substitutions, which is kind of my opinion on the Fornals for Balbuena substitution, is that was a time waster and everything. Why not at the 90+3 minute use all 3 substitutions and waste even more time? Like, bring on Silva. Like, give him a run out. I mean, we don't have the crowd there or anything, but I mean, it's going to mean something to the kid. Like, if you're going to waste time, do it right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, maybe brought Balbuena on a little bit earlier. Bring Silva on for Antonio. You know, get fresh legs up front because he was knackered. But for that,
But we only get 3 pods.
Yeah, I was going to say for that, I'll give him a pass because we got 3 points. We got an exciting game, and it was just an all-round. But just when you think David Moyes has turned a corner, getting his substitution right, we move on to Newcastle. And what does he do? He brings on Noble on the 57th minute. And it, for me, was a negative substitution. It was, let's play back. And he's only used 2. We've got 5 subs, boys. We've got 5. I can't believe you're not using at least 4 of those substitutions out of 5. It's crazy to me. You know, you've had Wilshere, who played a lot better in the last game. You had other options on there. You know, Yarmolenko, the right time, I thought bringing him on. But he goes and brings on Mark Noble. Love Mark Noble, just the wrong person at the wrong time to be bringing on. Charlie, that's my rant over. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing is with like the Noble thing is like Noble is a very important player for us in a lot of ways, but he's not going to change that game. And like your subs are meant to change the game, and you're taking off a relatively attacking player for a more defensive one. And in that case, Lanzini was playing on the left. And so all of a sudden you have to put Fornals out on the left. And then we see what happens when Fornal plays on the left because he has to track back. Oh, heavens above. It does not go well for us. And that's not necessarily a diss on Fornals. It's just that's not his game. That's not his game. So why are you putting him in that situation? Especially when you do have people on the bench who could play that. And that's kind of the thing is like just it's kind of mad. It's just kind of mad. And I don't understand it at all. Because, like, say with the Yarmolenko thing, after he scored the goal against Chelsea, and then Moyes is like, oh, he does it all the time in training. He's so good. It's like, then why aren't you using him more? I'm so confused. Oh, exactly. Silva, man. He's so good in training. Okay, then why isn't he getting time on the pitch? I don't understand, David. Like, why are you saying one thing and then doing the exact opposite of it? Like if you're Newcastle, right, and you're like, right, we can get a 2-2 draw out of this. They probably would have taken a point as well as David Moyes would have. But say they bring on, I don't know, look at all right, Silva or a Yeti, but let's say Silva specifically. Newcastle, I probably don't fancy yours much. Like, they're probably going to be going, oh, okay, actually, we don't know what's going to happen here. Not only do we not know how they're going to attack, but we don't know how it's going to go for us. Like, that's a game changer. Even though you might not trust him, that's still kind of a game changer. And yet he's just goes back, which is frustrating because the Newcastle, I thought, were there for the taking. Like, I don't think they were particularly playing to their highest ability. And equally, I don't think we were. And I think if David Moyes had a little bit more about him to go, actually, let's go and try and grab this win, we might have been able to not only get a win, but put them to the sword there and really got 3 points. And imagine now, instead of being equal on points with Watford, we could be 2 ahead of them. Like, Santa, baby, please just give me something here. But instead, he decided to go with Noble, which is a shame because it just it didn't make sense at the time, and in hindsight, it doesn't make sense either.
I'm sorry to interject here, but I would say that the forward-thinking substitute is if you put Masuaku on for Fornals at that minute and everything, or for Lanzini at the 57th minute and everything, that would have been a good substitution.
Or even take off, and this is the thing with like Antonio. I have conflicting emotions about Antonio because I don't particularly like him as a footballer, but all of a sudden I think he's quite good. And the Newcastle game, I actually think he was my man of the match, despite not liking him that much, which is weird for me to say. And if anyone's been watching Hammers Chat since the beginning, they'll know I've been dissing the guy for like 5 years straight now. So it's a bit weird for me to just plop this out of nowhere. But let's be real, he was so tired. They looked like fried eggs out there. He looked just done for. So I don't know why he's still there. But you could bring on Silva and then put Antonio on the left and then give their right back something more to think about, because Kraft was making their right back, Kraft was going up. And he was causing damage. He got an assist and everything else. He was causing damage. So if all of a sudden you put Antonio out there and he has to deal with that, he's not going to get forward very quickly anymore. And again, you're putting him under pressure, but it's just not something he does.
Yeah, Dan's just coming back into the room. Bear with us. But Reese, what do you think? Do you think the substitutions were right? What should he have done?
I only watched the second half of this match, and even I could tell when Noble came on. I thought, what the fuck is he doing? Because why would you put Noble in the number 10 position? I just didn't understand it. And I think this was a game where he went a backward step. And like Charlie said, I think Newcastle was there for the taking. I thought we played relatively well, but I think we just needed a manager there that would bring on an attacking substitution to change the game, and we didn't have it.
Sorry, I think I keep freezing. But yeah, Zach, do you think that Noble was the right substitution? Who should he have put on? I think Charlie made a good point earlier where, you bring on Noble, that pushes Fornals out the side, he gets pushed on the left wing, and lo and behold, he gets caught keeping it off the side trap, and they go and end up scoring an equaliser.
So I personally felt that Noble was the wrong decision. It's not his position, and it made no sense to me. And some of the comments have been very interesting to read about how he should be more like a cheerleader. I completely agree. I think he should use this time to look like a coach, kind of like when LeBron James was like if you ever watch the NBA, if you look at LeBron James, sometimes when he's not playing, he's on the court, he's on the bench, and he's being more like a coach, giving advice to the young guys, giving them direction as to how to do things. That's what he needs to be more like. And he needs to be screaming at the guys on the bench to do this, do that. You need to be watching out for that. And I think he could move very seamlessly into coaching. But at the same, back to this game, he was not the right decision, considering the fact that we have Jack Wilshere just sitting on the bench doing nothing. But then again, you're only using 2 substitutions. This is a marathon. Sorry, this is a sprint, not a marathon. And we're going to have very dead legs going into the end of this month and the end of this whole abbreviated restart, and we're going to have guys with dead legs, and we don't have a very deep bench, and we don't have a very deep U23 team that we can pull guys from and put and plug in. We're not Manchester City here, so we're going to be struggling with that. And the fact that we're not making these substitutions, giving these guys rest when they're playing 3 games over the span of 10 days, it's not really helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing that annoys me about this is the fact, 1, he's only used substitutions out of the 5. 3, he's got a good opportunity to get some players in there that he's not going to just use for this season, but for the next season. Get them minutes, get them used to it. We've got a 4-week gap. Cameron, what do you think of these substitutions so far?
I mean, the fact that we only used 2 out of 5 is absolutely shameful to just start that out completely.
Sorry, I froze again. Sorry, Cameron, what do you think of these substitutions?
Oh, sorry, I'm talking. But so, Ray, if you can hear me, John just put up a comment about parking somebody on Shelby. Not sure if you can throw that up. But, I mean, this is a guy that we've gone after and then said, oh, he's not good enough, blah, 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 and everything. And then he does us over every single time. And the fact that we don't seem to have a solution, St. Maximin, probably one of the most exciting players in the Premier League right now for anybody outside of the top 6, didn't actually get to do too much this game. Yeah, I mean, he had his couple moments when he got the kind of like the assist and everything. But, I mean, the entire midfield is controlled by John Joe Shelby. And the fact that we don't have an answer for that, whether it's from the starting lineup or from the bench, is sad because, I mean, he's not great, but the fact that he's running through our midfield with pretty much the exception of Declan Rice, especially when Noble's on the pitch, it's kind of sad. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Dan, what do you think? Do you think he's overusing some of the players that we've got with the likes of Bowen, Antonio and Souček and Rice? They've been outstanding players so far. Are they going to last the rest of the season? They're going to be knackered? What do you reckon?
I think Antonio is going to get tired because of his injury history. I do think. I think if we're going to keep taking Lanzini out of games, it's proof that he's not doing enough. So why is this not the type of game that Yarmolenko starts when Yarmolenko was a difference maker against Chelsea? There's my first issue. Yes, it's the correct substitution, but it should have had to be a substitution. It should have been Lanzini coming on for Yarmolenko, if anything. Secondly, I'm very against Noble coming on. Second half, we were a much better team. I think Newcastle only had that one chance that they scored. I'm against Noble coming on, but I'm all for Souček moving further up the field, which is what he did. It worked. I don't think that Noble was the guy I would have brought on. I think I would have brought on Wilshere. But we can sit here and we can talk about Silva and Ajay not getting the minutes. You and I know as much about Silva and Ajay as the opponents we play. So why don't we give these players 15, 20 minutes and see what they can do? Because I guarantee you that when these teams do their scout reports, they don't look at these players and what they can do. They don't know anything about them. This would have been a good game. We had the opportunities. Antonio was knackered, rightfully so. He worked his ass off. I would have given one of them. I don't know who it would have been, to be honest, because I don't know much about him, so I've been able to see him. But when Yarmolenko came on in the 70th minute, I would have brought on Silva or Ajay with him, and I would have given Antonio a rest. Because come the end of the season, we're going to need Antonio a lot more than we're going to need Silva and Ajay.
It's very frozen again. I'm so tempted. So tempted to start talking about Curry. All right, what I'll say is this.
Hang on. Got an ice pick? Or a little like chisel thing, so you could like start chiseling him because he's frozen.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone completely. This is great. What I would say is this: with the Ajay thing, this is something else Moyes said, which is really frustrating. But he said, "Oh, I've seen as much of Ajay as you have." Man, you're the manager. What are you talking about? What do you mean? What is he just not? Is he not in training? Is when he's in training, do you go like this? What do you mean you haven't seen that much of him? It just makes zero sense to me, like in whatsoever.
His stats don't lie. I mean, I know he played in Switzerland, which I couldn't give you 5 teams in the Swiss league. But his stats are there. He's done it in the Champions League, Europa League. He's done it in the league. Clearly, we signed him for a reason. And it might have been because he was a last-minute sign-in and someone we could actually sign. But give the guy a chance. There's no point in signing these players and paying them this money if you don't give them a chance to do anything to earn their money.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of 5 teams in the Swiss league. I know there's only 10. Young boys,
Stone Wall finished
Grasshoppers,
the game.
Logano, Valdos.
Basel,
There's one more. Basel. There we go. That's 5.
where we actually signed him from.
Yeah, Basil. His record was great.
But then again, it is the Swiss League, and the Swiss League is one of those second-tier leagues in Europe. It's not that great, but at the same time, it's not terrible. We're not talking about
next topic.
We're not talking about the Santa Monican League.
Ray, you there? You there, Ray? Missed you. We want you back.
Yeah.
Well, while Ray
Charlie,
figures
what
it out,
up
let's
next
start with
topic?
this. I'll start with this. Again, I want to talk about Curry. I'm really having to resist myself. Reese, what do you think about Burnley, right? Because Burnley, interestingly, when I was talking about subs, Burnley are the only team who have used less substitutions than David Moyes consistently at the moment, which is kind of mad, but they also don't have a squad. So do you think what do you think about the Burnley game, and specifically with a view to subs, but what do you think about going into the Burnley game?
I think the difference between us and Burnley with Dyche is he knows what players to bring on at certain times, and that's why I think he doesn't use as much substitutions. He knows most of his players will work hard and graft for 90 minutes. He's been with the same set of players for so many years, and I think this is one of them games where if we don't start on the front foot and we don't dominate Burnley and put pressure on them, I think we're really going to struggle. However, I think Burnley have also now got something to fight for in terms of they're pushing on to looking into Europe. So I think it's going to be a tough game, and hopefully we can get the 3 points. But to be honest, I can't see it.
Guys, I'm back. I apologise. My internet has been crap. I've just beaten up a couple of scousers because I've been robbing my phone lines, as Gary's been said. So I apologise. Hopefully they won't come back. Fingers crossed. I don't know what I missed. Did my wingman Charlie hold the fort?
Yeah, I did. I listen. I didn't even mention Hugo once. Not even once. Not even once. I wanted to, but I didn't.
You should have done. Have we been talking about the preview for against Burnley?
Yeah.
Who's not said anything yet?
Mm-hmm.
Cameron, what have you got to say?
I think
Dan.
kind of sorry, I'm following also the live comments and everything. I think based off of what Sharon is saying, Burnley's going to be harder than Newcastle for sure. They are a defensively stalwart team, and we always seem to have a bit of trouble with them. And it's going to be a tough game, and it's going to be very hard to break down. I think that we're going to need, fingers crossed, Haller's back. I think we're going to need 2 up top to try and break down that defense, whether it's Aller and Antonio or Antonio and Yarmolenko. I think that we're going to need at least 2 up top, probably 4-4-2, and just we're going to need to go at it from the get-go and really try and play some attacking football.
Dan, Zach, what do you reckon?
Dan, you want to go?
Go ahead, Zach.
All right. So we need to hit them hard, and we need to start really soon, because if we don't, we're going to be struggling. In 3 out of the 4 games since this restart's happened, Burnley has averaged 8 total goal attempts, and more than half of them have been on net. And they have 2 wins since the restart. So granted, they're 1-0 wins, but they're still 3 points at the end of the day. We need to hit them hard. We need to be able to move quickly in the counterattacks, get the ball, push it upfield, get it to whoever's in the midfield, and push it towards whoever our striker is. I think 2 up top is going to be the way to go. Hopefully, Allaire is back, or at least he's on the bench, so he can come in on the 65th minute or so and try to change the game. If not, we have Yarmolenko to do that, and hopefully Antonio can stay the whole game. But if not, we're going to look at it's going to be tough because we're not defensively sound. And if we watch the Newcastle game, I think the first goal was because of 2 defensive lapses all within the same minute. And if we could just hold down the fort defensively and get some block shots and get some balls going the other way, get some steals and interceptions, I think we could easily turn this game around and force our way up the table, and maybe even force a draw, which I think would be great.
Dan, what do you think?
I think the next few games determine if we stay up based on the opposition we're playing. Every team that we're playing, I don't see why we can't get 3 points. Besides Man U. This game's going to be hard. Burnley play the same team pretty much every week in, week out. They don't have squad players, but they've got good chemistry. They don't have subs that they're going to bring on, and they're going to make a big difference in the game. They're a taller team. They're good at set pieces. They're good at scoring from them. They're good at defending from them. Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes up top are really good together. Going 2 up top wouldn't be a bad choice. It's just if they've only got one natural striker, who to me is Haller, because the other two don't get to play, Jetty and Silva, then it's really hard for me to pick a starting lineup here. I would completely drop Lanzini, and I would start Yarmolenko from the top. And I've got a very bad feeling he's going to bring Noble back in, unfortunately. And it's just, it's one of those games, you bring Noble in, the tempo of the game changes. But I think if we keep Noble out, Burnley's definitely a winnable game. They're not one of the top teams, but they grind results. So, I'm feeling positive. I think it's going to be a scrappy game. It's not going to be very much percentage difference. I think it's going to be scrappy, a lot of clearances via headers and probably a couple goals via headers, but it's going to be a scrappy game.
Oh, yeah, no, I think you make a good point. I think by this Saturday at 3 o'clock, we could actually put us in a position to be safe. You know, if we beat Burnley and if we beat Norwich, you know, even if we get 4 points out of that game, I feel like we're safe, or we're going to be safe, but that will just solidify it and say to us, I think that will probably be enough to keep us up.
I think we're good already, mate.
We might need another cheeky.
No,
I think we're good.
Please no, Ray. I'll say this about the Burnley game, right? And I think I did a preview on Hammer's chat earlier. So if you want my full thoughts, go and watch that promo. I think in reality, I think they're a much tougher team than people give them credit for. And it's not just because they're an English defensive side. It's also because they have the ability to change it up during games. Like, they're not as one-dimensional as everyone thinks they are, but at the same time, we know what they're going to do. We know what they're going to do. They're going to find it out to their wingers, who are like, McNeil is their best player. McNeil is a baller. Like, don't get it twisted. McNeil, oof. And then they're going to try and find those strikers, right? And fortunately for us, Ashley Barnes is injured. I think Chris Wood came on against Sheffield United, but whether he starts or not, that's a bit different, because realistically, Vidra and Jay Rodriguez aren't as good, but Jay Rodriguez can still do bits. And Vidra, but Jay Rodriguez, right? And so I think what's most interesting in terms of subs, to bring it back to the main point, Ray, is that like I said, they use less subs than Moyes does somehow, and that's because they don't have the depth in their team. They have a core group of 14, 15 players which they use, and then past that, I mean, look at their bench. Not Sheffield United, the game before. Like, woof, the numbers of the shirts there were beautiful. We were seeing like 79s and 84s and all of this. It's like, I didn't even, like, you don't see these numbers unless you're talking about Ronaldinho at AC Milan. Like, these numbers just don't exist. So they don't really have the depth to bring someone on and change the game like we do. And the thing is we are going to have to break them down. It's not a case where we can blitz them really easily on the counter, or like, it's not going to, they're there to be taken, but we have to put them down. It's not going to be an easy thing. It's going to be a scrap. And that's when substitutions are most important, because if it's not working on Saturday by 55, 60 minutes, potentially even before that, bring someone else on, because in order to win this game, we're not going to have to score 2 or 3 like we have done the last. Burnley will score 1 max, probably. I say that now, we get beat 3-0. But realistically, they're probably only going to get 1, right? 2 most. So if we can actually step to them and do a bit and break them down, points in the bag, and all of a sudden staying up seems like a rosy, easy position that we should have never been even concerned about.
I think we're looking good to stay up now, mate. Looking at the other teams around us, what games they've got coming up. You look at our lineups. I mean, our matches. We've got Burnley, Watford, Norwich, Villa. Somehow we're fourth from bottom, and we've got to play 3 teams that are below us. I mean, I don't feel negative. Man U's the only one I'm worried about, and I feel like we're safe by the time we play Man U. I think Norwich and Bournemouth have already gone.
I would argue we're also really terrible at playing teams that are below us.
Yeah. For whatever reason,
we're playing everyone this year. Them Scousers have came back to you, right?
Oh, mate, it's doing my nutting. I might have Charlie finish off the.
If you want me to finish off the show, Ray, just stop talking. Okay, cool.
Thanks, Sturridge scored.
You there? No, maybe. I don't know. Dan, quickly, Dan, do you have like the ability to pull up comments and that? Because I know you've obviously hosted shows before.
Not from my phone. I can't know.
Okay.
My laptop's broke. I broke my laptop.
Is anyone here apart from Ray? Ray, you are currently here. Welcome back. Does anyone here have the ability to end the stream? Because if not, I'm going to have to text him. Because then we will talk forever.
Nope.
Well, we can all leave the studio, can't we? And that would end it, essentially.
Honestly, I don't know if it would end it. I'm all about trying it to see what happens. It's an experiment at the end of the day. Let's find out what happens. But I'm gonna give Tim a cheeky text. When I do that, let's go around the room. Reese, we'll start with you. Scoreline prediction for Burnley. Both Ray and Reese are coming out now. Reese, scoreline prediction for Burnley.
I think it'll be a tight game, and I think it'll be a 2-2 draw.
Dan?
I think I'm back.
Nope.
Don't know how long for.
Dan, what's your score prediction while Ray's internet drops?
I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham. I feel good.
3-1. It's bold. It's bold. Cameron?
Bold.
I'm going to go 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay, Zach?
I'm going 2-1 to us. We're going to score early. They're going to score early as well. It's going to be a long game of nothing, and then in the very end of the game, we're going to score a goal to win it.
Fair.
Yarmolenko drawing to his left foot.
That would be lovely. I would be yelling and screaming like I did when he scored against Chelsea.
That's fair.
I
said on the prediction on the preview earlier that I said 1-0 Burnley, a Tarkowski header from a set piece. I'll stick with that. But part of me is a bit positive here, but I'm still not fully believing in David Moyes. Ray, do you want to end this before you disappear again? I think that might be wise.
I think that might be wise.
No.
Can I just say something while Ray's frozen again?
Hopefully, my God, again.
Why are we scared of Burnley?
Right.
I'll say this, right?
Right, guys, thank you very much for your sharing.
Finish it, Ray. Go, quickly. Go. Quickly.
I'm going to freeze. Oh, life can't get this bad. Anyway, so thank you very much for everyone in the chat, everyone on the thing. It's good night for me. Before the fucking Scousers come back, I'm going to go around, chuck the internet in the bin or in the fucking Northern Sea. Good night, everyone. God bless. I'll chat to you lot off air for as long as I can until I get kicked off.
Bye.